All right, so getting back to the original part of my story, because I got caught on a total tangent there, and I've gone off and created another set of videos to do with the day that around my whole assessment and what the experience was like, loosely, around diagnosis day, take 1, take 2, and the stress and whatnot around that. But coming back to the original story, yes, which is my dream job. And I guess how I describe it as my dream job potentially, or the one that I've probably enjoyed the most ever, if I kind of reflect on it. And that is, again, a lot to do with the confidence that I have somehow developed and now feel, and the view, I have on myself in the past 6 months since I've been diagnosed. And I was a nervous bloody wreck and a walking bloody disaster up until that stage. But ever since then, I'd heard about it and had hoped it would be the case, the case being that the medication, so in my case the Vyvanse, having been prescribed that, and the conversation that I'm now having with my psychiatrist and others, it's helped me turn a corner, for sure. And again, I can see myself in the role of this dream job that I've had. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been confident. Confidence is probably the best way to describe it. I won't go into the detail so much, but some of the other traits that are always there as a result of ADHD, so forgetful and all of that kind of stuff, certainly are still there. Need to be reminded on a few things, need to be prompted on some occasions, but I've certainly been able to focus quite easily. So I should have filmed it. The bloody dog started barking there and it almost made me lose my train of thought. So I've shut the dog up. So yes, ordinarily with the dream job such as the one that I've explained I've had, you may find, or the prior version of me may have potentially fallen into a hole of despair and depression and, really struggled with being told that they were no longer needed, or the role that they were in was no longer needed specifically. And I can only imagine, when knowing myself quite well how I was before, I can't imagine I would have in the past handled it all that well. Whereas now, based on the journey that I've been on this year, as I'm just looking at myself in this light, I think it's quite a nice time. I don't know how it comes across in the footage, but anyway, getting distracted by that, almost forgetting what I was talking about. The version of me that exists today, I believe, has handled it in an entirely different way. Handled it, you would almost say, my wife would say I've handled it exceptionally well, admirably. Colleagues at work, former colleagues, I can say now, because I have actually finished. I think they were reasonably impressed with how well I did handle it. And some of the other reflections I have also had since we got to this point in the conversation where we were talking about my role ending or the contract not being renewed, and the business started to explain to me what it was that they saw themselves doing in the future, and my role not being part of that. One observation that I had of myself was the fact that for the first time probably ever in my career, I think in the past in my career I've just kind of meandered my way through, just gone with the flow with whatever the direction of my career has taken. I've never really had any particular stride or any particular driver on my own behalf to send it in a particular direction, really. However, in the example of talking about this contract, I found myself in the peculiar position, I say it's peculiar because I've never done it before, where I actually found myself advocating for me. And again, I can't imagine the old version of myself would have ever done that before. I know that for a fact, so I never did. I guess I used to just take it like a bullet and, drop dead and be done with it. saying that I never was actually, I don't think I was fired. Only back in the days when I was a young teenage apprentice, maybe I was fired. Potentially twice. Surprising I didn't get fired as an adolescent, someone in my 20s, and even, anyway, whatever, another tangents. Getting back to the role, so in that whole period of, and it was really, we were in wouldn't say it was a negotiation, but we're in a conversational period for probably 5 or 6 weeks in work before I did finish up a few weeks ago. And I really had a good old crack at trying to advocate, see if there wasn't any opportunity at all to extend my role or try and carve out some other potential opportunity within the team where I was. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Not through lack of trying on my own part and my own team members. Kudos to my team and people within the extended wider business around where I was. They all had a good old, I think I felt like I had the right amount of support. However, the powers that be who make the decisions, they have a different view. That's fine. But anyway, I just thought I'd incorporate that into the video as maybe as another testament really of how I have progressed, you know, in such a short period of time, be it only 5 months really, since we've been, you know, on my current journey. Now, I think that should really be a testament, one, and a pat on the back for myself. If I say to myself that, you know, well done, Troy, you're doing really well and you've handled it quite well. But I also think it's a testament to an evidence, I guess, that the conversation I had with my doctor, psychiatrist yesterday, when he saw him yesterday, was the fact that a lot of the success that we're seeing at the moment, Troy, is primarily due to myself and how well I've progressed as an individual going through this process. That's the biggest part. The other small part, the doctor would say it's a small part. I think it's a bigger part, but he would say it's a small part, is to do with the medication. So the Vyvanse in my case, that has really helped to no end. At the moment, I'm on 50 milligrams. Talked about it with the doctor yesterday. It's tracking really well. It's at a point where I can tell now when I need to have it in terms of when I want it to be productive. So it takes an hour for it to kick in for myself. So within an hour, so 7 o'clock in the morning I can have it if I know I need to start work at 8. I know from 8 o'clock I can pretty much be productive, and I'll be productive for at least 7 or 8 hours throughout the day. And then 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is around about where we are now, had it a bit later today because it's a non-working day, but within 7 or 8 hours, it tapers off. So in the conversation yesterday, we talked about how can we extend that taper off period. So from this week, later this week, I'll be moving from 50 to 60 milligrams. So I'm very curious to see how that goes as an extra boost to get me through longer into a day. It'd be an interesting observation to begin with because initially, currently I'm gainfully unemployed. That's not even a thing, but anyway, I'm unemployed and I am actively searching. I do need to pull my finger out and do a bit more work, earnest work on that. I've spent a lot of time updating LinkedIn profiles and doing some high-level work on resume. I've also found that some very cool stuff now that you can do with ChatGPT around resume building and kind of writing cover letters. And I think I've gotten more distracted by the fact that you can actually do these things within that piece of technology. I've been so distracted where I've started doing other stuff which is unrelated to finding employment. So I need to, pull my finger out and focus on that. It's been a long rambly part, 7 minutes, non-stop. But as a reflection, I'm going to try to summarise within the next 30 seconds so I can get to the end, because it's probably a long bloody video. I think we're doing really bloody well, and I'm very excited to see where the next part of my journey takes me, and what the opportunities are. And I guess I'm at the point or an interesting point in my journey now where I'm really sitting and reflecting on what is it, Troy, do you see this new version of you actually doing? And where do you see your life going from this point? I know there's things that I've done in my life, in my career, which has been a long meandering one up until this point. It's gone all over the place, and there's things that I've done in there that I've absolutely loved, things that I've not liked so much, and I'm sure that potentially somewhere within there, or maybe somewhere off around to the side of that, there's going to be something that I might meander into. However, at the moment my headspace is all about this ongoing process of self-discovery, and there's also this newfound passion and desire to spread the word and potentially help some others who may be in a similar position to myself and for whatever reason haven't been able to get help yet. But if there's any advice, potentially parting advice that I can give, is by all means you should endeavour to do so, without doubt, because life can be totally turned around. That's for sure. Anyway, I'm signing off. See you in the next one.